So yeah, Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn. Yeah, I'm gonna get to that a little bit later. But Birds of Prey is about Harley Quinn, who is trying to get from underneath the shadow of the Joker after their breakup, who ends up finding herself having to help this girl named Cassandra Cain, who swallowed this jewel that this criminal mastermind named Black Mass is after, and in doing so acquires the help of these ladies named the Birds of Prey to help take down this menace. So there's a lot to get into, so let's go ahead and get right into things. I enjoyed Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn in this movie more than I did in Suicide Squad. I felt like she had more of a range to go with this character in this movie than she did in Suicide Squad. Of course, with her being the main character, it really does help with that. And the R rating does work for the film, but on the other hand, it really isn't necessary. It could have been PG-13 and it probably still would have worked the same, just with less cursing and blood and, you know, violence and stuff. And one of the big negatives for me is that this movie, you can tell, was really inspired by Deadpool and how the movie was presented, because it literally follows that same format and narration of past, present introductions and storytelling. I really didn't enjoy it in Deadpool, but with this it was a lot more tolerable because Harley Quinn was already Harley Quinn when the movie starts, and the only characters that didn't make their mark at this time were the Birds of Prey. And this movie also takes inspiration from John Wick, but that's not a bad thing, as the fighting was one of the best aspects of this movie, and I truly enjoyed it. It was well choreographed. It didn't have any of the shaky cam or choppy editing or, you know, stuff like that that takes away from the overall great fighting in the movie. And also just the other action scenes and the stunts were done incredibly good, and I really did like it. But that is one thing that is also a negative to this film, is that they didn't set up Harley Quinn of being this type of character in Suicide Squad. Yeah, I know she can fight in Suicide Squad, but the way that she fights in this movie was just completely ridiculous as compared to the knowledge that we know of the character. Now, if a character used more of her smarts because she is a psychologist over her fighting ability, that would have made more sense, but they just completely made her like Black Widow, or just essentially a female John Wick, aka Atomic Blonde. And it did not fit the character, because at that point you got to think, why in the hell was she ever with Joker if she can handle herself like that? You know, she could be a crime lord that takes over the underworld, and she doesn't even need Joker. But mostly I did enjoy the team up fight at the end of the movie with all the characters, and to be honest, this is exactly how Suicide Squad should have been. Matter of fact, this whole movie is how Suicide Squad should have been, but wasn't. Even with having a villain that wasn't supernatural and wasn't extremely powerful, but powerful in the way of the reach and influence, but essentially completely human. And just speaking of that, I really enjoyed Ewan McGregor as Black Mass. He was a bit over the top, but yet at the same time funny as hell. And he seemed like he was having a great time doing this movie. And when the actor is having a great time doing the movie, it shows through the performance. Whether the movie is good or bad, it makes the movie a little bit better than what it was. Or at least that character would be the best part of that film. And as far as the other actors, I did enjoy Journey Smollett Bell as Black Canary and Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Huntress. Both of them did a really good job to me. And you can really tell that this movie was an empowering women type of film, just due to the fact that you have a main villain who is a guy who is very misogynistic and tries to display his dominance over the women that's around him, and that they have to fight to reclaim that power back, when really it isn't a bad thing. But when you show that that is your main objective, it starts to kind of isolate certain audience members, like the guys. But when it's done right, it can work. But this movie doesn't do it all that great. And this, honestly, is not even a Birds of Prey movie. This is an all-around Harley Quinn movie. And the Birds of Prey play the background, and it's more Harley Quinn centric, with little sprinkles of origins of each character of the Birds of Prey. Which brings me to the title. Like, really, this movie should have just been simply called Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, rather than Birds of Prey and the fabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn. That was just ridiculous and should not have been the name. And ever since the release of this movie, even like a week or so after it, they changed the name to Harley Quinn Birds of Prey, when you should have just called it Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey just right off the bat, because it's kind of a misleading title. But hey, this movie I could say is way better than Suicide Squad. Like, extremely better than Suicide Squad. And I had way more fun with this movie than I actually should have had. Because when you look at this movie as is, you can have a lot more fun with it, because looking at it as compared to the other movies in the BVS universe, it just doesn't really stack up too well. This movie was highly entertaining, well acted, well directed, but honestly, this really should have been called Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, rather than just the other titles that was given. Like I previously stated, and I really did like the look and overall tone of the film. The potential for a great film was there, but it just wasn't reached, but the enjoyment was there nonetheless. So it is a hit for me, because I still believe that it is a pretty decent film and worth checking out.